What is going on, guys? We are live. If you take a look at your screen, we're going to do some NFL power rankings today. We're going to go through, put all the NFL teams after the draft in specific tiers, from A to F. We're going to put everyone in their specific tier, and we're going to start. Probably we're going to do a little A grades because that's a little easier to figure out. And then we're going to work our way through A, B, C, D, and F, right? I am really excited. I think most teams did fairly well in the draft, guys. I'm pretty excited about the draft hauls for most teams. You know, they did a pretty good job for the most part in kind of filling out some of their needs. So we're going to take into consideration all the plays they made in the draft, guys, and then we're going to put them in specific tiers. The first team that I want to go for, we're going to do it, man. We're going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles in the A tier, right? Bring them up in the A tier. That's the way to do it. We're going to kick things off with the Birds. You know, the Eagles, in my opinion, guys, are the team to beat. And I don't think that there's a team that's really super close fundamentally for the Eagles. All right, hold on one second. I got to let Penny out. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Penny was trapped on the bed and she didn't want to jump off. So, yeah, Eagles are in the A tier. As we go through and we take a look at some of these teams, we got to put the Chiefs right there with them, right? I think the Chiefs are probably the number 2 team in the NFL right now. I think they had a really good draft haul as well. Adding Josh Simmons to that draft haul was really, really, really interesting. Yeah, Max, I actually do really like the Rams this year. I don't think they're far away at all whatsoever, right? I do think that the Rams are knocking at the door in the NFC. And I do think that this team, if we take a look, I'm going to bring up the draft page, right? And then we're going to take a look at some of these teams. And the Rams, you know, had a pretty good draft, right? Terrence Ferguson, maybe a little bit of a reach there in the second round for Terrence Ferguson, but I do like the Josiah Stewart picks, and I do like Chris Paul. Jarquez Hunter, pretty good pick there in the 4th round. I think the Rams are not far away. I definitely think they are one of the better teams in the NFC this year, but another team that I know there's some coaching changes there in Detroit, but I'm telling you that roster is still exceptionally talented, right? One of the better rosters in the NFL, in my opinion. I love what the Lions are doing, man. They still have a really good offensive line. Aiden Hutchinson will be back healthy. You know, that's a huge thing for the Lions, right? And they brought in a lot of defensive line help. They got Tyleik Williams from Ohio State in round 1. And then they went edge defender Ahmad Hossein from Boise State. It's got a little bit of juice there. And then they added some guard help in Miles Frazier and Tate Ratledge, right? So I think the Lions are right there knocking at the doorstep in the NFC as well. So what other team are we going to put here in Tier A, right? We're scanning these teams. For me, I really, really think that this team is not far away from competing for a championship, guys. And to me, that's the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, really, really talented. I think the Bills also did a very good job in the draft this year, getting an outside corner, Maxwell Hairston, fastest guy at the combine, pretty athletic guy. I do like what they did on the D-line as well, bringing in TJ Sanders and Landon Jackson, both really talented guys. I do wish the Bills drafted a wide receiver earlier than round 7. I think that was a huge mistake. Maybe a little too heavy on the D-line. You know, second round pick, third round pick, fourth round pick, all on the D-line. I get it, but I think wide receiver would have helped them. Redneck goes, what's going on, bro? What is going on? So what other team? I'm going to put two more teams in the A tier this year. Who's it going to be? Minnesota has a really, really good roster, guys. But can J.J. McCarthy really put it together, right? If we take a look at the Minnesota Vikings draft, they definitely address some positions of need for me. Bringing in Donovan Jackson, one of the better, more versatile guys. Really impressive. Bringing in a wide receiver in the third round was a bit of a head scratcher considering they already have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. I didn't really understand that pick. But I did like the Kobe King pick. And then drafting a tight end in the 6th round, I don't really understand that either. You know, they have TJ Hawkinson. I mean, I don't necessarily love that pick. Their draft was like a C for me. Minnesota didn't really help their cause too much. But their roster is still one of the better rosters in the NFL. So they're definitely in consideration. You know, the Rams are in consideration as well. As we take a look at these other teams, the Broncos, I think, are going to be right there. But for me, another team that had an incredible draft is the Baltimore Ravens, man. The Ravens continue to just draft so well year after year. How does the NFL let the Ravens get Mike Green and Malachi Starks in back-to-back rounds? That's crazy to me. Mike Green, what value? Yeah, Redneck goes, I agree with you 100%, buddy. Like, wow. Getting Malachi Starks and Mike Green, and then they got Emory Jones from LSU too. Pretty good player. Maybe a little bit of a reach, but they see projection in that body frame, right? Then they added Teddy Buchanan from Cal. I like that pick as well. You know, they got a new kicker. They added another wide receiver, LeJonte Wester from Colorado. Okay, and then they got Peebles in the 6th round, a D lineman I really like. I did like Longer Beam in this process as well at the cornerback spot. The second half of the draft, not as impressive as the first few picks, but man, that defense got a huge upgrade. Another team that I think needed to go wide receiver a little bit earlier. They got Zay Flowers, but the Ravens don't have a lot else, man. So, like, I don't really understand the thought process behind this draft, you know. I think 3rd round would have been a great spot, or a 4th round to add a wide receiver. But instead, they went offensive tackle and linebacker, two positions that had some depth in the draft, right? So I don't know how much the Ravens got better, but those first two picks, Mike Green and Malachi Starks, unbelievably impressive, guys. Really, really, really impressive. And then, you know, for me, like, it's probably between the Rams and the Vikings for this last spot on the A tier, guys. Let me know in the comments below. Where would you go? Would you go Rams or would you go Vikings? I just think the Vikings are such a good team. 14-3 last year with Sam Darnold at the helm. I think J.J. McCarthy can be just as good, if not better. And they didn't really lose too much in free agency. So I'm going to go with the Vikings in the A tier. I think it's a pretty solid group there, guys. And then next, we're going to move on to tier 2, right? So 32 teams. We used 6. We're down to 26 spots. So we're going to go 6 and then 5, 5, and 5. So in the B tier, looking at these teams. Yeah, Jacob, I'm going to do a week 1 predictions, and I'm going to start breaking down record predictions for all of NFL teams. I'm going to go through a ton of them, right? Yeah, the Rams are definitely close. Max, I'm really concerned about the Rams secondary. And if you take a look at the Rams draft, they didn't really do too much to fix a secondary that was not very good last year. Like, they didn't draft anyone in the secondary at all. Like, they went tight end in round 2, that's a head scratcher. Terrence Ferguson, I had a 4th or 5th round grade on him. 70 ranked overall prospect going in the 40s. That was a reach. I don't think the Rams got that much better in the draft. And they already have a good front 7. They added Josiah Stewart, a guy I actually really like. But no wide receiver help. No cornerback help. You know it, man. Go Birds! What's up, Andrew? Welcome to the chat, buddy. But yeah, don't worry. The Green Bay Packers are going to be close. So I'm going Rams in the B tier. I'm not putting these really in any specific order in the tiers, guys. Just teams I think that belong in this tier. Next up, Commanders. Commanders had a really good draft, guys. A draft where I was like, damn, they got a lot better. They added Josh Connerly Jr., a guy I really like at the offensive tackle spot. Could play left tackle or right tackle or even play guard for a couple years early in his career. Really impressive guy, super athletic, and he's just kind of scratching the surface on his abilities and capabilities at the offensive tackle position. Next up, Trey Amos, an incredible pick, guys. Getting Trey Amos at pick 29 in the 2nd round is crazy. I thought Trey Amos was going to be a top 45 pick. I really, really did. He's that talented, right? Exceptionally talented. I like Jalen Lane from Virginia Tech, too. 5'10", 191, could kind of be a slot guy for them. I like that pick. And then they went linebacker and then running back in round 7. So I think the Commanders really helped Jaden Daniels out a lot in this draft. Really, really impressed by what they did. Next up, guys, where do we go now? There are some teams that I like but have serious quarterback questions, like the Steelers, man. Yeah, Jaden Daniels, Jacob, is an exceptional talent, like a really, really talented guy. So it'll be really interesting to see, how he does in year 2, right? Yeah, really, really impressive guy. So another team going in this 2nd tier is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Even though they don't have a quarterback right now, Mason Rudolph is scheduled to be the quarterback. They still have Pickens. They still have DK Metcalf and a great defense led by Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt. One of the better defenses in the NFL. They're going to be in a lot of close games. So I'm really, really impressed by... You want to say hi? Come on. You want to say hi? Oh, say hi, everyone. Miss Penny Lane. Miss Penny Lane in the chat. Say hi, everybody. Say hi, everybody. Oh, what's going on? Say hi. Say hi. All right. All right, now back to the B tier, guys. Oh, thanks, Jacob. I appreciate you. Yeah, Penny is the best. She's really, really sweet. We're really lucky to have her. Another B tier team. I'm going to the Denver Broncos. I think they did a really good job in the draft this year. I think Sean Payton in year 2 with Bo Nix, they're going to take another leap forward. Jody Barron was a really good pick at number 20 overall. I thought they were going to go Omarion Hampton, but they decided to really make that secondary, Jody Barron and Pat Surtain, that secondary is going to be really hard to deal with, man. Then they went R.J. Harvey, Pat Bryant, Savion Jones, edge guy, and Quay Robinson, 2 guys I really liked in the later part of this draft. Then they took a punter in round 6 and then a tight end in the 7th round. Pretty solid draft there for the Denver Broncos. So 2 more slots in the B tier, guys. One of them, I'm going to go Green Bay Packers here, guys. I think the Packers aren't far away from really competing in the NFC. I really want to see Jordan Love take another step forward. And oh, baby, did the Green Bay Packers add some heat. Really, really added some heat at the wide receiver position. Matthew Golden and Savion Williams. Savion is a big boy, 6'4", 220. And then Matthew Golden is the best separator in this draft class. Definitely going to have some opportunities to make some big plays in year 1 for the Green Bay Packers. Anthony Belton is an offensive tackle that has that flew up draft boards the last like 3 or 4 weeks. Great pick there. I'm happy with the draft for them. Green Bay Packers fans did a really good job. And we have one more slot here in the B territory, right? The Chargers are in play. The Texans are in play. Even though their draft, they didn't really do what I thought they needed to do in order to take another leap forward. So I'm going to go with the Chargers here, man. I think the AFC West is going to be extremely competitive with the Broncos, the Chargers, and the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs might not win the AFC West for the first time in a really, really, really freaking long time, guys. The Chargers are well coached. They had a pretty good, damn good draft, too. They got Omarion freaking Hampton, Trey Harris. Woo! Baby Justin Herbert. Got some weapons to go along with Ladd McConkey, guys. Trey Harris and Omarion Hampton. Great picks. Jamari Caldwell, I love that pick. Kyle Kennard, another pick I really loved. And they got Arondé Gatson at the tight end position. Very productive guy in college, right? I mean, they did really, really good. Yeah, Redneck Ghost, I don't disagree with that, man. I think it's going to come down to the wire in the AFC West. I think it's going to be who stays healthy and who gets hot the last 6 weeks of the season, guys. So, that's my A and B tier, right? And now we're going to move on to the C tier. C tier, a team I really think, could make some moves this year is the Cincinnati Bengals. If they get that defense fixed, the offense is set, right? Another team that didn't draft as well as I wanted them to, but they still got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Joe Burrow. And any team with those three guys, if their defense is even like remotely efficient, they'll be good. They got Shamar Turner, Demetrius Knight. I like that pick. Dylan Fairchild, that's a great pick. They didn't have a lot of picks, but Jalen Rivers I like too. And then they took 2 linebackers. I probably wouldn't have did that. Probably would have addressed some other spots, maybe like safety or corner. The Bengals not addressing safety or cornerback at all in this draft is a little mind-blowing to me. They're a B tier to me, the Steelers are, because they have a top 5 defense. And it's going to keep them in a lot of games. And I'm doing that expecting Aaron Rodgers to sign with the Steelers. And Will Howard, if we take a look at the Pittsburgh Steelers draft, has the potential to maybe win the starting job. And he was pretty damn efficient, in college at Ohio State. But look at so they already had a top 5 defense, right? And then the Steelers added Derek Harmon and Jack Sawyer and Yahya Black to this defense already. Very impressive stuff, man. I wish they would have went corner a little early, but they didn't have the second round pick because of DK Metcalf. And they added Caleb Johnson, who in most years would be a first or second running back taken off the board. So I think they had a really good draft and a top 5 defense. What's up, Nancy? Welcome to the chat. What's going on, everyone? So Bengals lead it off in the C tier. Next up is the Houston Texans. For me, the Texans' offensive line, letting Laremy Tunsil get traded to the Commanders was a head scratcher, guys. Apparently that was a locker room thing, but man, they added some firepower at the wide receiver spot, bringing in Jaden Higgins, one of my top wide receivers in this class, one of my highest rated guys, Jalen Noel, and then they got Arante Ursary, who a lot of scouts are really freaking high on, right? So, really impressive. Then they got some USC guys, Woody Marks and Jalen Smith. They got Jalen Reed in the 6th round. I think that's a steal. I think they did pretty damn good. And they got Graham Mertz and another tight end later in the draft. So, they're going to be in the C tier for me, man. Yeah, I agree, Redneck Ghost, but that's a big weakness to have, buddy. Big, big weakness to have, unfortunately, right? So, Texans make my middle tier. And now, What team is next in the middle tier? I'm going to go Chicago Bears. I'm going to go the Bears. Ben Johnson's there. They had one of the best drafts, in my opinion, out of every team in the NFL. They killed it. Killed the draft. Colston Loveland and Luther Burden. Luther Burden III might be the absolute steal of this draft class. 39th overall. He's a dog. I love Luther Burden. And then they got Ozzie Trapillo, a guy from Boston College, could play anywhere all over the offensive line. Great pick. Yeah, Redneck Ghost. Great draft. They got Kyle Monangai in the 7th round, man. Kyle Monangai from Rutgers. Pull up the stats, bro. Kyle Monangai. Great year for Rutgers. That is a steal in the 7th round. And they still have DeAndre Swift on their roster. But Ben Johnson. So they have Colston Loveland, Luther Burden, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze. Come on, man. Come on. Then they got Shamar Turner as well. Sal Frazier, another good pick I really liked. At Michigan State, Luke Newman. Kyle Monangai is no slouch, man. He had a great year at Rutgers, man. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not a big DeAndre Swift guy. He actually had a great year with the Birds. But, the Bears, pretty damn good draft in my opinion. One of my more favorite drafts out of all these teams. Now, we're scanning the rest of these teams. Taking a look. Who else is in the C tier? I'm going to go Arizona Cardinals here. Might surprise some people. But they had a really good draft. Another team, I love their draft. They got Walter Nolan and Will Johnson in their first 2 picks. That's exceptional value. Will Johnson, if he doesn't get hurt, is probably a top 10 pick. And Walter Nolan, probably the best D tackle. I think he might even be better than Mason Graham when the dust settles. So I think the Cardinals did a really, really good job. Yeah, Walter Nolan, Will Johnson, I love what the Arizona Cardinals did. Then they got Birch, the edge guy from Oregon. I liked his tape. Cody Simon, I really liked his tape too. The linebacker from Ohio State. The other guys I'm not as familiar with, Connor and Crawford. But top half of that draft, pretty damn good. So let's do 2 more spots in the C tier, guys. We're going to go Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are a pretty good team. I think every offensive starter is coming back. They added some depth on defense in this draft, especially in the secondary, right? One of the better secondary drafts. They did take Emeka Egbuka, too, in round 1. That surprised a lot of people, especially with a guy like Jahad Campbell still on the board. But Emeka Egbuka is a pro's pro. He's going to be extremely efficient. And then you have Emeka Egbuka. You got Mike Evans. Chris Godwin if he's healthy. And then they got Ben Morrison, one of my favorite corners in this whole draft, and Jacob Parrish in back-to-back picks. Very impressive stuff. And I love Elijah Roberts. He had a bajillion sacks in college. Yeah, 17.5 sacks this past year. They really, really upgraded the defense. 2 corners, 2 edge defenders, 2 wide receivers. Really, really doubling up on a pretty decent roster, So, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, like I said, they're in no particular order, guys. I like the Buccaneers. So, all right, guys. Now we got one more tier to go in the C level. So, who's it going to be? I got my eye on one team. I'm going to go the Seahawks. I do think they're well coached. And, they're in between C and D, right? They're, all the teams that are left have a lot of holes. And I think bringing in Sam Darnold will give them a little consistency at the quarterback position, get a little younger there. And head coach Mike McDonald, I do like him. Okay, now let's move on to the D tier, right? Actually, let's go D tier. We're going to start with the Colts. Colts got a really good tight end in the draft. A team that, on paper always looks pretty good, but when the season starts, they don't play. This might be Shane Steichen's last year to get his shit together. But pretty good couple first picks. I like Tyler Warren, the tight end. They need a reliable pass catcher at the tight end position. JT Tuimaleo from Ohio State, another good pick. Justin Whaley, not one of my, that's a reach. I don't like that pick at all whatsoever. There's plenty of guys way better than Justin Whaley at every position of need. So I don't like that pick. I do like the TJ Gideon's pick. I like that pick at the running back spot. They did take Riley Leonard in the 6th round. Tim Smith is a steal in the 6th round. I do like that pick. But the Colts, meh. Next up on the D tier is the San Francisco 49ers. They're getting ready to play Brock Purdy, so they got rid of everyone on their whole team. So this roster has a lot of holes. And they did okay at the draft. A lot of picks, a lot of bodies. We'll see how it works out. Mykel Williams, a guy I really like, but at 11, I thought that was a reach. If I wanted Mykel Williams, I probably would have traded back and got more assets, right? Draft Maxwell Harrison at 32. Did Raheem Sanders get drafted? I'm not sure. I am not sure, to be honest. And then they went Alfred Collins, a guy I like on the D line. Nick Martin is another reach that I didn't like. I do like Upton Stout, the corner from Western Kentucky. I think he could play. I like that pick. Jordan James, the running back from Oregon. I like that pick as well from San Francisco. I think that'll be an ultimately good pick. They went Curtis Rourke, quarterback from Indiana. Connor Colby, I do like that pick from Iowa. I think he's a good player. And Junior Bergen from Montana, a guy I don't really know a lot about. But yeah, that's kind of how it goes here, guys. And then next up on the D tier is the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys had a head scratcher of a draft, going offensive guard at 12, Tyler Booker. Kind of a one-dimensional guy. I don't love that pick at 12. I would have traded back. I do like their next 2 picks, though. Donovan Ezeraku and Savon Revel in the 2nd and 3rd rounds. Really good value there. I think they did really, really well with rounds 2 and 3. You could have flipped Donovan Ezeraku and Tyler Booker, and I wouldn't have been mad about it. But Tyler Booker at 12 seems to be a reach for me. Then they went Jaden Blue in round 5. No one else. Phil Maffa. They went 2 running backs in 5th and 7th round, trying to get younger at that position. Cowboys had an okay draft. So next up, Miami Dolphins. A team, if they could stay healthy, they could be good-ish. Good adjacent. The offense can hum, but that defense has a lot of freaking holes, especially in the secondary with Ramsey about to get traded. Javon Holland left. A lot of holes that they didn't fill until late in the draft, in the 5th round. Marshall Jr. and Trader Jr. The Dolphins, C- draft for me, man. Kenneth Grant was a reach. Seven Ayaya was, I think that's a reach too. I don't think the Dolphins had a good draft at all whatsoever. Next up, I'm going to go the Raiders. I think the Raiders had a really good draft, and they're going to be better than people think, I believe, this season. They're going to be a lot better coached, and they got a solid run game now with Ashton Genty. The Jack Betch pick I didn't really necessarily love, but Darian Porter and Rodgers and Grant, I love the Charles Grant pick. Tonka Hemingway and Peegs, I really like that pick as well. So the Raiders are going to be, knocking on the doorstep, right? And the last team, oh man, it's tough, guys. What's up, Donnie Ford? What's going on, bud? Just breaking down my little power rankings after the draft. It's between the Jaguars and the Falcons, I think, man. Michael Penix Jr. I wish the Jaguars would. I just don't love the Travis Hunter trade. I think they gave up way too much for a team that has a lot of holes, you know? So they went cornerback, essentially, in back-to-back picks. But Hunter might play more wide receiver and pair him up with Brian Thomas Jr. I do like that idea. I do like the Wyatt Millen pick and Tootin, 3 and 4, solid. And I do like Jack Kaiser. They had a decent draft. Jonah Monahan, I think that's a good pick in round 7, the center from USC, a guy I really liked. And Ryan Lane, another pretty good pick there. So I think, oh man, it's tough. I'm going to go the Jaguars here at D. And that leaves the C tier, the Falcons, the Panthers, the Browns, Patriots, Saints, Jets, Giants, and Titans. So I'm going to talk about these teams a little bit. You know, I could probably move the Falcons up to this tier, balance it out a little bit. I like what the Falcons did early, and then they really just the James Pierce trade just made no sense to me. They gave up a lot, a 2 and a first round next year to get James Pierce Jr. at 26. I think they want to control Jalen and James Pierce for 5 years. And then they went Xavier Watts. I like that. They only drafted one offensive player. And Jack Nelson, I think, is really good value in the 7th round. But 2 safeties and 2 edge guys and 1 offensive lineman. I don't know. I don't get it, man. I don't get it at all whatsoever. Didn't really help out Michael Penix Jr. at all. You know, didn't get him a good offensive lineman. They lost some guys. You know, they want to upgrade the defense. The Browns, you know, I think trading back was a good idea. Getting a lot of capital. I think the Schlesinger pick was a reach. They got Judkins for free pretty much by going back 3 spots. And then Shedeur Sanders is great value in round 5, but if drafting Shedeur Sanders was even a possibility, drafting Dylan Gabriel makes no sense. So I didn't like that at all. And then the Patriots, Saints, Jets, Giants. I do like what the Patriots did in the draft. I think that was pretty solid draft. Will Campbell, Trevion Henderson, Kyle Williams. 3 great picks. You know, and then they went the center, Jared Wilson, one of the best centers in this draft class. Josh Farmer, a guy I like. Braden Swinson in the 5th round. That was a steal. You know, Kobe Minor in round 7. You know, Mr. Irrelevant. You know, the Saints continue to make me scratch my head. They did get Calvin Banks at 9. Probably a bit of a reach there as well. You know, Tyler Shook, I don't like that pick at all. I don't think he's good. I think he's going to be a disaster. And then they got Stutzman, Devin Neal. I do like the Devin Neal pick. And Fidel Diggs in round 7. That's a good pick. The Giants, I think the Giants had a really, really good draft, guys. And if the Giants were better than people thought, I wouldn't be surprised. Abdul Carter, Jackson Dart, Darius Alexander, Cam Scatterboot, Marcus Embout. And then they got Thomas Fedone II. They didn't really miss in this draft at all. The Giants had a really, really good draft. I like that, guys. All right, there's my final tier, guys. From the Eagles down to the Titans, that's my tiers after the NFL draft this year. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, and we will catch you on the next video. Peace.